Hey all, Zook here, back with part 9 of the Scholar of the First Sin, all bosses, no damage route. This time we're going to be opening up the Shrine of Winter, and then running through Drangleic Castle to beat the Dragonriders. So we're going to start up at the Ruined Fork Bonfire. Remember, at the end of last episode, we'd made sure that we popped the souls, bought some stuff from Cromwell, and at this point you should have upgraded the rapier to +10. I didn't. I'd forgotten to do that, but you'll want it upgraded just for 2 different enemies in the actual castle that will take 1 fewer hit to kill if you have that rapier to +10, which will make both of those parts significantly less sketchy than what you see in this video. Now, the run through of this area going to be the exact same as a normal no-hit run. 2 exceptions to that rule. The first exception is that after you've dispatched all of these falconers, as you're about to see me do, you want to run to the other side of this bridge, and you're going to see me forget to do that, and then remember and double back right now. So I run to the other side of this bridge because we do want some Twinkling Titanite. I believe this is the first one that we pick up, aside from any that we've picked up from Crystal Lizards along the way. This is the first specifically Twinkling Titanite, I'm pretty sure. And we are going to start collecting Twinkling Titanites as we go through these areas, just because we want to upgrade the Staff of Wisdom for our strategy against Alana later on. So cast Yearn. That's kind of the second exception to the normal no-hit route, just because normally you don't see too many people that are running this with Yearn. But casting Yearn right there distracts the goblin. And then we're going to drop down to this little area, and I always try to kill this first ghost boy. You don't necessarily need to kill him, but you would definitely want to lure him to this pathway. As I personally am just really sketched out every time that I try to run past this second ghost guy. So I just always kill the first one and then lure this second one over here. And the strategy, regardless of which ghost boy you lure over, you're going to want to cut back up these 2 switchbacks and just be walking into this wall so that the ghost boy can't see you and doesn't try to get his crossbow out to shoot you. Or, well, doesn't try to shoot you with his crossbow. You might want to cast fall control before doing those drops, because if you drop too far, you might take some fall damage. You could also equip the Silvercat ring to make sure that that doesn't happen. But now at this point, I don't do it, but just one little thing that you might want to do to make your life a little bit easier in a second is equip the Lingering Dragon Crest ring as you're running up here, since we are going to cast Yearn, which will distract these 2 swordsmen, well, crossbowmen, and it will also distract this third guy who does have a sword out. Kill him so he doesn't accidentally interrupt you as you're about to take on this crystal lizard. But the 2 crossbowmen should still be distracted, even if you don't have Lingering Dragon Crest on. And then 4 shots will kill this crystal lizard. You definitely want the 3 chunks in a slab from this lizard. And then I always put on the poison arrows to deal with the mastodons. Because this is an all bosses route, you're able to buy as many poison arrows as you want from Gavlin by the end of this. And actually in about 45 minutes, after we run through Earthen Peak, we are going to kill the rat bosses and go to Gavlin and restock all of our poison arrows. before then, there aren't really any bosses that you need poison arrows for. The next poison boss is going to be Smelter Demon. So because you aren't really saving these poison arrows for anything, just use them on the Mastodons. Or if you have a specific boss earlier in this route, these 20 poison arrows we got from the gutter. So basically anything that has happened since the Rotten, if you wanted to try to poison a boss, feel free to do that. But I'm going to run up the stairs and I'm not going to step on the cobblestones when I shoot these guys. I'm specifically making sure that I stay on the steps, and I'm aiming low on their bodies just because at least that first crossbowman is going to try to bend over and load his crossbow. And if you accidentally aim for his head or aim too high up, your arrow is going to go over his body as he's bent down loading his crossbow. But as soon as you walk past this first step, the Forlorn might try to invade you. So if Forlorn does invade, you'll actually do this exact same run through that I'm about to do, where we cross over, and regardless of whether the bone's grayed out or not, we cast Yearn. This makes sure that the two swordsmen that are about to spawn do not come in after us. And then if Forlorn has spawned, then you're going to want to drop down from this little gap in the railing that's right in front of the Chancellor. And, well, so I guess, let me rephrase that. You'll wait for Forlorn to be most of the way up the stairs to you, and then you drop off that gap. You won't take any fall damage, but as the Forlorn is kind of paused for a half a second as he decides that he wants to fall down from the gap, shoot him with an arrow. He falls down, and then you just run back up the stairs and repeat the whole process. Repeat it until the Forlorn's dead. Doing that, the two swordsmen shouldn't aggro to you. At this point, this is the first enemy, the Cyan Warrior, where if I had had a +10 rapier, 4 hits would have killed him. Because it's only +8, he needs 5 hits or 4 hits and some bow arrows. So just a little bit sketchier than it needed to be because I didn't upgrade. And you'll notice back at Welliger, we did buy 400 lightning and 400 magic arrows. And then we're going to go ahead and open up these doors and light the bonfire. And then we're about to actually use a dark pine resin. This, I think, is the only dark pine resin that we actually use throughout the whole entire game. Just because the stone soldiers here are extremely weak to dark damage. So I try to get a running R1, miss, because, I mean, that's what I do. But I'll rest here at the bonfire. And then reset it. Dark resin is still applied. And if I had a +10 rapier, then 3 hits would have killed that soldier. Because I didn't upgrade, I had to do it in 4 hits. So again, just a little bit sketchier if you don't upgrade, but you can still work with it. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and grab the frozen flower. I don't step too far forward because I don't want to spawn that soldier. And then come over here for this 10k soul, because the 10k soul is pretty much free because you can't actually get gotten by those stone soldiers when you're in that little alcove. Then we'll run up here and I look out for a Forlorn, and I actually get Forlorn here. I backtrack just a couple of steps because the Forlorn might spawn on those stairs in front of us. And if he does spawn while you're in the middle of the casting animation, he can stagger you and knock you out of that animation. And then for a double whammy, he'll hit you as you're staggered. So I just run back, I recharge the spell cast, just in case I need to use it again. But then just running through the area. So that guy's down. Forlorn didn't invade, so we're good. Head on through this mask room and get the bow out, equip the arrows that we had just bought, and we got 4 archers that we need to get rid of. They'll either take 2 headshots or just 3 regular shots. And for this one, I actually step out just a little bit too far and I aggro this archer. If you don't step out too far, then he actually doesn't see you and you can shoot him just 3 times in a row safely. But even if he does, just strafe like I did. And then we'll come over here and kill that archer, and then shooting through the window to kill this archer that's over there by the illusory wall, and this one up here that will spawn and try to shoot us as we grab our hunter's black bow in just a second. So once the archers are down, I cast fall control and drop on down to this iron chest where I'll pick up a hunter's black bow. Now, as you climb up this ladder, if you need the safety bonfire, it's right behind where that message is, the illusory wall that's just on the right of the screen right there. And then head on over and fight the Dragonriders. Now, for the Dragonriders, they are weak to fire damage. So you're going to see me use a charcoal pine resin on the rapier. You'll also see me have the bow in my offhand. And as I start this fight, I'm going to start it off by shooting the archer 2 times before he drops off. And then I'll also follow up with a 3rd shot. Then I run straight up to the right after I get that 3rd shot in. So 1 shot, 2 shot, 3rd shot, and now I'm going to walk and run up to the right. I roll only to dodge the halberd, and then I come over here and 2 counter hits. And honestly, it should just be, I want to say that it takes 3 hits at this point for me, but it should be 2 hits pretty much guaranteed if you have that +10 rapier. And kill this guy. I always roll every single time that he does any of his first attacks. The second attack can sometimes be strafed as long as you're in the right position. But yeah, kill the Dragonriders and then run on up. And we're going to activate the elevator, and we're also going to grab the Old Knight's hammer, which is crucial for the gargoyles, for frigid outskirts, and then also if you try to do Alana using the melee strategy, then you'll want this Old Knight hammer for her as well. But we come up here. One thing that I actually should have done, instead of putting the staff in the right hand, I really should have just put the bow in the right hand and then put the staff in the left. As good as you can be with using the bow in your offhand, for me at least, it's still kind of the natural inclination is that the bow is supposed to be in the main hand. So you'll see me mess it up twice in this video where I accidentally use the staff when I meant to use the bow. But try to get 2 shots in on this guy before he turns around and aggros. But even if you don't, not a huge deal because you can cast Urine and they fall for it. This is the first time that I meant to use the bow and then realized that I didn't. and then just kind of wait for him to come over here. And ends up being kind of sketchy on my part, so just try to do it a little bit cleaner than what I did. Now, while that soul is opening up the golem, you can, or the golem, you can cast Yearn. Makes this mannequin pretty trivial. You can also do the same foot shooting strategy if you drop onto this chest with the Old Knight's hammer. It shouldn't aggro the mannequin, and you can shoot his foot to cause him to fall down. If for whatever reason you're just a little bit scared of the mannequin. But yeah, now we have that Old Knight's hammer, and really the rest of this video is pretty boring. You are going to ride the elevator up, pop any souls that you have. And then once we are at the top of the elevator, we're going to grab the key to the King's Passage, and then I also grab a soul vessel while I'm here. Technically, you aren't going to need it, at least not for the amount of times that we respec in this run. But if you choose to do Dark Lurker with a Miracles only thing, or at least with like a much higher faith stat for the lightning bonus, then you might want this third soul vessel. Well, I guess technically it's the first one that we're picking up, but if you count the two that we'll pick up in DLC 2, we'll have 3 total. And so the key to the King's Passage is here on the left. Soul Vessel is in that middle chest. And then we're just going to homeward back to the bonfire. And we're actually going to do about 90 more minutes of gameplay before we attempt the Looking Glass Knight. That's going to be because in order to just maximize the amount of bread bugs that we get, we do want to defeat the Old Iron King before we beat the Looking Glass Knight, because the Looking Glass Knight is the point of no return where the bread bugs just set to 48,000. So we get those items, and then I come back to Majula. You should head back to Majula at this point, because even if you have upgraded the rapier, which I need to do at this point, you'll also want to upgrade the Hunter's Black Bow. And then I buy about 30 fire bombs, both for Shulva if I get extremely unlucky with the switch opening. And I also want some fire bombs for the skeleton lords, and I want some for breaking statues on the way to Gang Squad. So upgrade your equipment, buy that stuff, and then we're going through Shulpa in the next video. So I'll catch you in the next one.